Hi folks, it's Scotty here from Flickering Myth once again, taking a look into the world of video games, and this time we're going to look at 5 of the most gut-wrenching scenes that we believe you've ever found. The more story-focused video games become, the more problematic they are. On the one hand, we play these colourful polygons and sprites for escapism, but on the other hand, there is a hard market for realism. And with realism comes genuine emotions, brought about by three-dimensional characters and dramatic structures. As some pioneering game writers have explored how much pathos they can flood into a narrative, in turn creating some of the most gut-wrenching scenes we have ever had the misfortune, or fortune, to witness. Now here are 5 we believe to be of the best quality. And be warned, as always, spoilers will be discussed for the following titles. Mordin's death, Renegade, in Mass Effect 3. Now we wanted to avoid including character deaths on this list, but an exception had to be made for Mordin's. Mordin is a physician and team member of Shepard's during Mass Effect 2. He has a dark backstory in that he created a plague called the Genophage to cripple the Krogans in a past galactic war. During Mass Effect 3, Mordin is given a chance at redemption by reversing the Genophage, that is, unless the player chooses to not cure the epidemic. Going on the Renegade path, Shepard can opt to try and stop Mordin. Interrogating the Doctor reveals that he feels intense regret over the creation of the Genophage. If you fail to convince him, Shepard is given the option to shoot him. Now, even with this gunshot, we see Mordin continue to crawl to the cure dispenser, only to die before he can release it. Now while his death via the Paragon path is still sad, the fact that you can have an active hand in murdering him here is what makes it gut-wrenching. Here is a man who was not only your comrade, but someone who wanted to do the right thing, and kept trying to do it despite being fatally wounded. However, because it does require precise choices, it's the last item on our list. The white phosphorus blaze from Spec Ops: The Line. The Modern Warfare reboot may be getting slammed for incorporating white phosphorus as a gameplay mechanic, but it wasn't the first title to do so. 2012's Spec Ops: The Line featured an engrossing narrative about a trio of soldiers sent to find out what happened to a missing colonel in the city of Dubai. During this quest, they come across many adversaries, from desert thugs to rebel soldiers. Now, in one of the game's most intense scenes, the squad is hit with heavy fire from a platoon of soldiers. Seeing no other options, Captain Martin Walker gives the order to blast white phosphorus over the enemies. Now with the carnage over, Walker and his team enter the place, only to discover something horrifying. The battalion shooting back at you was sheltering over 40 civilians in the area, including children. These burned out corpses still bear screaming expressions on their charred faces, expressions you are forced to stare at as you walk through the graveyard. Knowing you're responsible for this makes it all the more gut-wrenching. Escaping the slave ship from Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, Freedom Cry. Now, Assassin's Creed 4 already had an acclaimed storyline tagged to it, setting high standards to anyone who wanted to follow it up. But Ubisoft didn't hold back, deciding to shift away from the pirate themes and focus on the backdrop of slavery that was present, but not directly engaged, in Black Flag. Out of this came Freedom Cry, starring Edward Kenway's first mate Adewale. Moving from NPC to playable character, Adewale was given a full-fledged story. He's now fighting against the slave trade with a group of African rebels known as the Maroons. Now, during this high seas tale, Adewale's actions bring increased scrutiny to the Maroons by the Port-au-Prince governor de Fayette. To counter, Fayette has a frigate fire on a slave ship in order to prevent the would-be freed men from joining the Maroons. And despite the player's best efforts to rescue them, the imminent collapse of the ship forces Adewale to abandon his plans and leave. On the journey out, you're forced to witness dead bodies of slaves who drowned. Others are still stuck in their chains, yelling and desperately trying to get out while water fills up. You're left with no choice but to escape as quickly as possible. Truly a sad moment that hit us hard. Torturing Riley in Far Cry 3. Far Cry 3 was every vacationer's nightmare. A relaxing trip to a private island turns into a fight for survival when main character Jason Brody and his friends are kidnapped by pirates. With no other choice but to team up with the local insurgents, Jason is slowly turned from a partying frat boy to full-on warrior. And towards the end of this journey, Jason is tasked with gaining the trust of main villain Hoyt Volker. To do this, he impersonates a soldier in Hoyt's army and is asked by the man to rough up a prisoner he has in his basement. This prisoner turns out to be none other than Jason's younger brother Riley. With the camera feed on, Jason has no choice but to torture Riley. Thanks to button prompts, the player takes control over seeing a cutscene. First, Jason hits Riley several times before pressing on an exposed bullet wound, causing Riley to scream horribly in pain. The fact that you're causing this makes it all the more heartbreaking, with Jason even reflecting, "Who have I become?" A question that could be directed as much to the player. To the moon. The entire game. What aspect of this game wasn't gut-wrenching? The whole premise is that you work for a corporation that implants false memories in terminally ill people, like some sci-fi version of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. The wish this time around is from an old man named Johnny Wiles, who wants to travel to the moon, though he doesn't know why. The narrative slowly opens into a depressing black hole as you find out numerous tragedies happened to Wiles in his childhood, from his brother dying in a car accident to his mother then drugging him to make him disremember the trauma. As if all of this wasn't bad enough, the medication had the side effect of causing him to forget his encounter with a girl named River. There, he had promised to go to the moon with her. Though he later would marry River, her Asperger's syndrome prevented her from conveying her frustration over Johnny forgetting that initial promise. The real gut punch is in the seemingly happy ending wherein you succeed in fulfilling Johnny's wish, only to do that involves rewriting his entire life story. His brother never died. He ended up working for NASA, and he had an affectionate relationship with his wife. Things were so bad for Wiles that he literally had to be put in a completely different existence to experience the life he wanted. Just heartbreaking overall. And that is our list of the 5 gut-wrenching scenes in video games. Now, what are some moments that have left a big impact on you? As always, we hope you could leave them in the comments below, and of course be sure to subscribe to Flickering Myth for more content that will be coming your way soon. And until the next time, this is Scotty saying thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye!